What's up, nerds? My name is Cory Bergeron. You're watching Cory Bergeron Recordings, and we're back with a brand new video. This is part 2 of a 2-part video series on how to edit vocals like a pro. If you have not seen it, be sure to watch part 1. In that video, I talked about cleaning up vocals and time aligning them, and this is part 2 where I'm going to talk about all things vocal tuning. Before we jump into it, if you plan on releasing music anytime soon, I recommend using the service DistroKid. DistroKid is a service that allows you to get your music on all the major streaming platforms. That includes Spotify, Apple Music, and 150 plus other places. For just a low annual fee, you can upload as much music as you want. You get to keep 100% of your royalties. It's a good thing. So consider signing up using my link, www.distrokid.com/vip/whatsupnerds, and you will save 7%. It supports the channel. It's a good thing. Let's jump into Pro Tools and talk about vocal tuning. Alright, so in front of me here, I have a Pro Tools session, and this is where we left off.
Tail side up. How many times we gotta break until we bend? Break till we bend. This ain't love. She said I never wanna see you again.
Cool, so we have some great vocal performances. It's not majorly out of tune, but there's definitely some tuning discrepancies that we want to address. So I'm going to show you how I go about tuning vocals, and we're going to start with this main vocal up here. So I'm actually going to turn on this little group here, make these nice and big. So these 3 main vocals, they're all singing the same line, and together they sound like this.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
Now when I track vocals, especially in a chorus, I like to track 3 main vocals, and I have them panned center, left, right. That's why I named them CLR. And ideally my goal with these 3 vocals is to have them very tightly in time and very tightly in tune. I don't want it to sound like 3 vocals. I want it to sound like one big vocal. So it's important for me to have these vocals be tight timing wise, which I've already done in the previous video. And now we're gonna go through and we're gonna tune them. And this is how I go about vocal tuning. So on this main track here, on the track called C, I'm going to open up an instance of Autotune, and I know that the key is F major. Usually I'll just pick up a guitar that I have right next to me over here and noodle around and find the key. It doesn't take very long. I'm going to turn the pitch mount up to roughly 80%. I like to turn this flex tune control up to like 20%, maybe a little higher. Let some of the vibratos be a little bit more natural. And then the retune speed somewhere in the ballpark of 40. I might change these later, but this is a good kind of starting place. And there's actually a reason here as to why I put Autotune as the second plugin in my vocal chain. And that is because I'm actually going to put Melodyne before it. Now, when it comes to vocal tuning, the 2 most common pieces of software that I see used to tune vocals are Melodyne and Autotune. And generally, an individual will use one or the other. I like to use both of them, and it might be a little bit overkill because you can achieve the same result with one or the other, but I like to use Melodyne to manually edit notes and smooth out transitions and really work on the detail of the vocal, and I like to use Autotune afterwards as a blanket kind of tuning that will pull it automatically to the closest note within the key. That usually gives me the desired result, and it does so in a timely fashion. So let me show you exactly what I mean by this. So I am going to tune this main vocal here. I'm just gonna cut this and that. I'm gonna open up Melodyne, and then I'm gonna transfer it into Melodyne.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
So I'm gonna just focus on this little part here first. Let me zoom in. This is what it looks like. So this is Melodyne capturing the vocal performance. Let me actually play this without Autotune on it.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
So the end of the note on bend sounds a little sharp, and the break sounds a little sharp as well. Let me put Autotune back on and see how much that's affecting the track. So in real time, it's pulling it to the closest note within the key.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
So overall, it's making most of it sound smoother. It is pulling the end of bend up a little bit, which I don't like. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you how I would go about tuning this vocal. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the note separation tool and just kind of cut where I think there are note transitions that I want to address individually. So instead of moving this entire cell around as one note, I can choose to manipulate different parts of the note by themselves. Then from there I'm going to select all, and I'm going to just kind of drag it closer to key, somewhere around there. And then we're going to give it a listen.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
Pull that down. And I'm actually going to cut up break here a little bit because it goes a little sharp in the middle. We're going to just cut that in half, smooth that out, and see what happens.
We gotta break
That's pretty good. Let's move that down.
Gotta break un.
If you want your vocal to sound natural when you're tuning it, make sure that you respect the starts of words. Not every single word needs to start directly on the note. So I can actually have this drag down a little bit as he bends into the note, and it sounds super smooth and natural. So let's listen to that.
Break until we bend.
So let's give this whole line a listen again, and we'll see what else I need to adjust.
How many times we gotta break until break un.
We is a little out. So we're going to cut here, pull this down. Just kind of flatten the note out a little bit more.
Until we bend.
Not bad. And same thing here, we're just going to pull that down, smoothen the transition between there.
Break until we bend.
We're getting a little bit of a tune sound between these two notes here.
Till we bend.
So let's just kind of smooth that out.
Break until we bend.
That doesn't bother me. One more final listen.
How many times we gotta break until we gotta break until we bend.
Cool, that sounds pretty good. So that is with the auto-tune on. Let me take that off and show you what it's doing. So this is just Melodyne by itself.
How many times we gotta break until we bend.
So you can hear the break is a little out at the start here. You can hear a little bit more pitch variation. All very minor stuff, but I really like how throwing auto-tune afterwards makes it so I can get these notes close to where I need them, and then auto-tune gently pulls them to the place that they sound best. It makes my workflow very fast. To me, that sounds good. So what I will do, I am going to go ahead and address the supporting layers here, L and R, before I do anything else on that track there. So let's do the same thing. We're gonna drag auto-tune over. We're gonna keep the same instance, throw it on L and R, and then we're gonna open up an instance of Melodyne. We're going to transfer that in and go from there.
How many times we gotta break until we bend.
Again, it's not very far up, but there's definitely some pitch discrepancies that we want to adjust. So we're going to go through and we're going to adjust the pitch. Here we go. I'm going to go to my note separation tool and just start cutting where I think there are some note transitions that we want to respect. All right, cool. And let's just go ahead and on these supporting layers, you can be a little bit more aggressive with the tuning because they're not going to be as upfront. So let's see what this does.
How many times, how many times, how many times we gotta break, we gotta break, we gotta break, we gotta break. We gotta break, gotta break, gotta break.
I know I'm moving through this pretty quickly, but I hope that you can follow along here. So I highlighted this entire section. I said move it to the closest note. So right here we have the word break. Now the word break is an A. You can see that the start of it starts a little flat and it kind of goes into it, which is natural. That's what the human voice should sound like. What I like to do is when there's like a lead into a note, I like to take that note and just reset it. Just so it's completely natural. There isn't too much of a pitch to that like introduction to the note. I don't want to manipulate that, so I'll leave that natural, and then I will tune the main part of the note.
We gotta break until we bend.
That's pretty cool. Let's listen to this whole line.
How many times we gotta break until we bend.
So that sounded good. You can hear a little bit of the tuning. I'm not too concerned with it. Let's play it with the first vocal that we tuned and go from there.
How many times we gotta break until we bend. How many times we gotta break How many times we gotta break
Cool, so everything sounds pretty flush so far. I am hearing on the word break that there's a little bit of a pitch difference that is distracting to me between the main vocal and the supporting layer. So we are going to listen to it again, and I'm going to fix the supporting layer to work with the main take.
How many times we gotta break until we bend. Gotta break. How many times we gotta break until. How many times we gotta break How many times we gotta break How many times we gotta break until we bend?
Cool. So there's definitely a little bit of pitch variation between them, which is totally natural. I don't think it's overtuned. I think that feels right. Let's go through. We're going to mute that supporting vocal, and then we're going to move to the right track here, and we're going to throw Melodyne on this one, and we're going to tune this track.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
All right, let's move over here. Same thing, note separation tool. We're going to just kind of cut where the track looks wonky. And let's listen to this.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
Cool. So that break is definitely sharp, and then this is a little wonky over here. So let's... We know that's supposed to be an A, so let's grab this whole note and pull that down, and we'll grab everything else and just give that a tune.
How many times?
We're gonna move fast here.
How many times we?
All right, so this vibrato is a little aggressive. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna cut around it, pull this in, and then we're gonna just smooth this out.
How many times we gotta be? How many times we gotta break?
That's better. That works.
Times we gotta break until we bend. Until we gotta break until we bend. Oh, we bend. How many times we gotta break until we bend? How many times we gotta break until we bend?
Cool, so to me that sounds good by itself, but what matters most is how it sounds in relation to the main vocal. So I'm going to throw it up to the same volume as the center track, and we're going to leave just the center and the right track soloed and give them a listen.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
So again, the only big difference I'm hearing is on the word break. Let's address that.
How many times we gotta break until we bend? How many times we gotta break until...
So moving that up helps a little bit. Let's check out all three tracks together.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
Lovely, and let's pan them out and turn them down about, I don't know, let's go with 6 dB and hear how they all play together with the track. We're going to mute everything else just so we're hearing the vocals that have been pitch corrected, and let's see what happens.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
Sounds great. Now, just as a rough rule, when I'm working on a track and I record 3 vocals for the chorus, I like to have the left and right kind of like 10 dB below the center vocal. And again, the goal isn't to make it sound like 3 vocals, it's to make it sound like one big vocal. So let's listen to this one more time with the supporting tracks turned down.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
That's sounding better. Another thing you can do, in this case I don't think it's completely necessary, but you can also turn up the tuning of the supporting tracks just a little bit. Let's move this retune speed up and actually turn the pitch amount up as well, and throw these on the other tracks. Let's just see what happens.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
Cool, that actually helped with making it all sound like one vocal, and yeah, that's how I would go about tuning the main vocals. Alright, so now that I'm satisfied with the tuning of this little section here, what I will do is I will highlight C, L, and R, these 3 tracks. I will hold down Shift and Option, which means that whatever I do to one track will happen to all 3 of these tracks here. And I will go ahead and right-click, commit up to this insert. What that will do is it will commit all the plugins up until this insert. So right now that's just Melodyne and Autotune. It will not commit the SSL channel strip or the CLA 76 compressor that I have after it. I am just tuning these vocals. I do not want to do anything that's going to impact the mix. This is part of the mix prepping process, making sure that your vocals are all cleaned up and tuned. So I'm going to commit the tuning here. And I like to just have it do nothing. I don't want to commit the volume or any of this nonsense. Boom. So what that does is it commits the tracks down here on these new audio tracks. I will just cut the section, throw it up here, delete these audio tracks, and then I'll come back up to my main tracks here and I will make Melodyne and Autotune inactive. The reason why I do this is so obviously that the tuning is committed and I never have to worry about it again, and I can send these files off to someone else and they will have the tuned vocals. They won't have to use Melodyne or Autotune to recreate what I've just created here. I'm committing the tuning forever, and the reason why I make the plugins up here inactive is in the instance that I need to go back, I don't have to go ahead and retune the vocal or find the original untuned audio file, throw it into the session, and then, you know, tweak whatever word needs to be fixed. I can just quickly do this, make Melodyne active, make Autotune active, and then I can open up Melodyne and do whatever I need to do. So just like that, this main part here is tuned, it's committed to audio, and I never have to worry about it again. It sounds like this.
How many times we gotta break until we bend?
Lovely. So after I finish this section, I would go through and I would apply this same strategy across every single vocal file in this session, excluding the gang vocals, which I mentioned in the first video that I don't want to tune. I want to leave those be lively. I will generally tune the backup vocals a little harder than I will tune the main vocals because I want it to all kind of fit like a puzzle. And yeah, that's vocal tuning. I'll go through and I'll tune one more section just so you can kind of see how I approach stuff. Maybe there'll be some different obstacles that you'll see me tackle. So let's go down here to this ad-lib part and let's tune these two little vocals. So I'm going to highlight the section here. I'm going to quickly just grab Autotune and throw it on here. And I'll throw it on this track as well. And then I'll take Melodyne and I will transfer. Boom.
Break till we bend.
Cool. All right, so this has a long drag in it. Now, Autotune sometimes doesn't like to play nicely with that, so this might be an interesting challenge. Let's see what happens. First thing I'm going to do, grab my note separation tool, and I'm going to just start cutting around notes. Now, I'm going to grab all these notes, just get that 100% in time, and give that a listen.
Break till we bend.
We'll grab this, and we'll just reset these because I'm not too concerned about them.
Break till we bend.
So you're hearing kind of three notes here. So the last word here is bend, and obviously the pitch bends between two notes. Now what Autotune is doing is trying to pull the note to the closest note that is within the key. So on this bend, instead of it being a smooth, natural, gradual bend throughout the notes, you can actually hear it pulling to three specific notes. So you have the main note and you have the final note, but you're actually hearing it pull to a note in between the two. So somewhere in here, it's pulling it to one note. So listen to it one more time and see if you're hearing what I'm hearing.
Bend.
Sounds like three notes. Let me take off Autotune and see if that's still there.
Bend.
It's not there, right? So Autotune's actually creating a problem for us. So I could go through and I could remove Autotune and then just tune this part manually with Melodyne and not worry about it. Or we can actually open up Autotune and just crank up the flex tune here. I don't know, let's go somewhere near 80 and see if that allows this bend to sound natural still. Let's play it.
Break till we bend.
There we go. That's perfect. So I'm actually going to grab Autotune from this track and throw it on this other vocal because I know there's a big bend in this one as well. I'm going to go over here. All right, we got this section highlighted. Nice. We are going to open up Melodyne and we're going to transfer this in as well.
Break till we bend.
Alrighty. So the first thing I like to do is pull out the note separation tool and do that. Let's just grab these top notes here, pull them in tune. And let's see what happens here.
Break till we bend.
And let's hear that without the instance of Autotune.
We bend. Bend.
Cool. Let's hear it in the track.
How many times we gotta break until we bend? Break till we bend. And she said,
There you go. That is how I approach tuning vocals. Some people use Melodyne, some people use Autotune. I like to use both of them. I don't know anyone else that does, but for me, I like to manually tune the notes in Melodyne, and then I will go through and I'll throw a blanket Autotune on top of it, and it will gently move the notes into a place where they need to be, and the two of them work together great, and it gives me the result that I'm looking for. So that's the end of this video here, and that is the end of this two-part little video series on how to edit vocals like a pro. Just to recap, I clean up the vocals, I make sure that there's no unwanted nonsense or breaths or whatever in the track, and then I will timeline the vocals, making sure that everything is super tight, and then I will go through and I will tune the vocals, and then after that's all done, they are ready to be mixed into the track. It's a lot of grunt work, it takes a lot of time, but these are really important steps to make sure that your track sounds as good as it can. If you don't already follow me on Twitter and Instagram, be sure to do that. There's links for that down below. If you want to join my Discord server and talk about all things audio production related, you can go ahead and join that. There'll be a link for that in the description. If you're planning on releasing music anytime soon, consider using DistroKid and use my link when you sign up to save 7%. And that is basically it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Cory Bergeron, and I will see you in the next video. Create more.